So we are given a set of distinct positive integers. We have to find the largest subset such that every pair of elements in that subset satisfy this condition. And what is this? What is this condition? The condition is that in every pair, one element should divide the other. And if there are multiple solutions, you can return any subset. So for the given input 1, 2, 3, so the largest subset size can be 2. It cannot be 3 because for the pair 2 comma 3, 2 will 2 no one divides the other number. So 1 comma 2 and 1 comma 3 both are valid solution. In example 2, so if you choose any two number, so basically for every pair this condition will be satisfied. So that's why the whole set itself is the solution, right? So going to the code. So now so this is just a corner case handling, that if there is only one element, then there cannot be any pair. So because it is not specified, I am just returning the input array itself. If it fails, then we will correct it. So now, or we can just check what is the expected value if because LeetCode shows the expected value. So we can just check if the input array is of size 0 and input array is of size 2, 1. Then what is the output expected? So yeah, so expected answer is the input array itself, as you can see here. So my answer is empty. Now it should be correct. Right. So that is the case where we can't form any pair and we are just returning the input array. So now before building up the solution, let's observe some properties of the solution, and then it will help us build the solution in easy way. It can be built in other ways, but that can be that will get complicated. So if you look at the solution, suppose there are three numbers a, b, c in that solution. So now basically if it is a valid solution, then you have to say that a divides b or b divides a. Then you have to see b divides c or c divides a, or then you have to also say that a divides c or c divides a, right? So basically you will have to make the pairs for all the elements. But if you just assume that or we ensure somehow that answer is sorted, then actually the conditions become very simplistic. So a divides b or b divides c. So basically it's not a or, but it's and. So if it is sorted, then basically now a divides c. So why is this the case? Because if it is sorted and everything is different, then basically the following number, every number which is following a number will be greater. And obviously greater number can't divide the smaller number, but if it is a valid solution, then a smaller number should divide the larger number. So one more thing here is that if I say a divides b and b divides c, then basically we can, so suppose there was also d, right? Then I'll also have to say that c divides d and b divides d and a divides d, and so what is remaining? So b divides d. So I think that's it. A divides b, b divides c, then a divides d, and yeah. So that's so like that. Basically, you have to make all the pairs. But the thing in sorted is that if you are saying a divides b and b divides c, it actually implies that a divides c as well, right? So based on this observation, what you can say is that you don't need to check all the possible pairs in a sorted array. You can only check neighbors, right? So if only this condition is true, all the pairs will be satisfying the condition, right? So because of this above statement, for any triplet, if this is true, then you can extend it to all the numbers if there are more than 3, right? So basically the thing is that we have reduced the number of pairs we are considering from n squared to linear. And how will this help us is because we will be incrementally building our solution. So if in each step we can add one more pair, that means that in constant time we will be incrementing our array instead of in this case where we will have to uh, basically verify for every element. We will see how that works. So that is why we are sorting it right now. It can be done without sorting, but there will be some complications there and we'll have to handle them, and those complications will not happen if we just assume or ensure that the answer is sorted. So to ensure that answer is sorted, what we will do is we will basically look from left to right, and before doing that we will sort our array in increasing order. So to sort it, yeah, I'll just sort it using some JavaScript syntax. Alright, so now my numbers are sorted, right? And we are ensuring that the answer will be in sorted order. So we will see how that helps. So now assume that I'll be solving this problem using a DP. So now assume that so DPI, what does it stores? What does it store? It stores the solution um, till I and including I. I mean like a solution including I as the last element. Right. So DPI stores the solution including I as the last element. So now basically if I have this, so how can I find a solution for DPM where M is greater than I? So suppose I have for all i's, right? For all i's. Whatever. So basically, if I know the solution for all the previous values, how can I build up solution for the current value? Right. So that is what we are trying to do now. So suppose that I am at mth index. How can I build up that solution from previous list? So I know that I have a solution for all the lower indices. So if I want to, if my solution has to end at m, mth element, right? Then if I remove last element, that is mth element itself, then it has to end before somewhere, right? So basically what it means is if I have the solution for all the previous indices, I can check for all the indices and I can check if I add m to that subset, uh, will the size of answer increase? Yes, size will always increase because I am adding one element, but the trick is that I don't know if I can add m to that solution or not. So basically, if I add m, then I need to ensure that this condition is satisfied, right? So basically, what I need to do is somehow ensure that I can add m to the answer. So now you can see that numbers is already sorted, and I'm adding numbers from left to right. Then answer will also be sorted. So let's try to write some code here. So I will write dp here. While writing the code, I will again explain what did I mean. So let dp is equal to array of size n, and we will fill it. And dp of I will be. So I am assuming I am just assuming base dp to build up the dp. And this will also be valid because we checked that for element input of size 1, the answer is that element itself, but it does not make sense in the context of the question, but we will assume that for building our dp. Then from let I, so this is the index at which I am making the solution. So what I have to do is I have to iterate at all the indices below that. So j is less than I, and then j plus plus. Right. So now what I have to do is basically I have to check if I can add ith element to the solution of jth element. So if I am able to do that, then basically what I will check is if after all right. So now because I am doing this for every j less than I, so suppose that in some case I was 3 or I was 4 and I was checking for j is equal to 2, then basically my dp was updated and dp I had some value. Now if I'm checking for j is equal to 3, basically then basically I have to compare it with the previously existing dp, that if I am able to increase the length of the existing solution. If I'm not able to increase the length of the existing solution, then basically I don't need to update my dp. So I need to check if after adding one element to um, the jth dp, it becomes greater than my current existing dp. If it does, then basically I will replace it with dpi. I will replace it with dpj, and I will add the current element there. Right. So let me just format it a little bit. Okay. All right. So this way I'll build up my dp. So what I am doing here is, as I said above, so I am checking for all the lower indices than I. I check if I can add the ith element to the solution, and if I can, then I will just update my dp if it is increasing the size. Right. If it is increasing the size, then I will just return the. So now how will my dp look? We will check it, and then we will see what we have to return. Right. I'm just returning this because if we are not returning a proper type, there will be some error. So now I have to check that basically I can add ith element to the jth dp. So dpj, I will check if I can add the ith element, which is nums I. Right. If I can add, I'll just clear it a little bit so that it's more readable. So if I can, if I check that I can add nums I, ith number in the existing solution, then I'll go ahead and function can check and add. Then can I add a number to an array? Right. So this is what I want to check. So basically, as I said earlier, that uh, to satisfy this condition, right? So whenever I'm adding a number n to this array, a number to this array, it should satisfy this condition. So how many pairs will this new number will form? It will form basically pairs with uh, all the numbers in the array. So what I will do is I will loop over that array for every member of that array. So how can I say, check the condition? Because I already know that it is sorted. So that means that number should be divisible by all of them. So if it is not equal to 0 in any case, I will return false, right? So basically what I did, I just checked that if it is valid to add the ith number to the jth dp. So let's see how my dp looks in that case, so that we can see what it is actually building up. 1 2 3, which is wrong. So let me just check what is happening. So if I can add, if dpj.length is greater than dpi, okay, we will just debug a little bit. So we are getting, can I add 1 and 2 to 3, cat 2 to 1, which should have returned true. So check can add. and then dpj dot length. Okay, let me just check it here. Right, so it is returning true. That means something is happening here. So if dpj dot length is greater than dpi dot length, in that case, so I was missing the length check there. So this is how my dp looks like. So the solution ending at 1 is 1 itself. Solution ending at 2 is 1 comma 2, and solution ending at 3 is 1 comma 3. So how did this happen? When I went to index 3, I checked that can I add it to 1? I can add it. So I add it. So it becomes 1 comma 3. So I checked if I can add it to 1 comma 2, but then this condition will return false, that it is not divisible, and then it will not be updating the dp. So that way I have my dp array. So now what I have to do is basically I have to return that array from here, which has the maximum length. So for that I will just use some JavaScript syntax here. So you can do this using a loop and alright, so I'll do it first with loop, and then I'll just reduce the syntax. So let max length is equal to 0, and for let subset of dp. So basically every dp will hold a subset. So max length will be max of max length and subset dot length. So I now have the maximum length. Then what I will do is for let subset of dp if subset dot length is equal to max length, then I can just return it, because I know that we can return any solution. Then I will just return the subset. Else I'll just return an empty array just to have a return statement outside the for loop. So let's see what it returns. So it should return 1 comma 2, because the max length will be 2, and the first element which matches that max length is 1 comma 2. So let's see how it works. So it is working. Let's try to submit it. So it is accepted. Right, so now I will just improve the code a little bit. So this max thing, we can do it using some JavaScript syntax. So I will just write that for now. So this should actually return the subset with maximum length. So let me just run it. So it is giving correct solution, and I will just test it for another case. And then, so basically this is our solution, right? So we sort it and then we build the DP on the sorted answer array, right? So this should also be correct. Right. So this is also correct. So I just changed the syntax. So one more improvement which we can do here is that this check can add can be improved. So basically it is based on this observation where I said that if this array is sorted, then I can just check the pairs. For example, if A divides B and B divides C, that means A divides C, right? To illustrate that, so let's look at this case. So if I'm checking for this case, right, 1 to 4, 8, so there will be a case where basically I'll be checking this case, comma 8, right? So I will be checking that if 8 is divisible by all the elements in this array, right? So but because I already know that this array is sorted, and I know that this array is actually a valid solution, that means that all the pairs in this will be satisfying this condition, right? So 1 divides 2, and then 2 divides 4, and then, right? So instead of checking with every element, I can just check with the last element. So I just need to check that 4 divides 8. Why? because I know that 4 is divided by all the elements below it. So if 8 is divisible by 4, that means it will be divisible by everyone. So what I can do is I can just return array's last element. So is divisible by, because the num is greater, that means that num is divisible by, right? So if it is divisible by, then just return true. If it is not, then you can return false. So I'll just run the code once more. Right, so it is giving me the correct solution. I'll submit it once more. So this is also accepted. So now we have, basically earlier it was a linear time check and we have reduced it to constant time. So now also you have to notice that array is basically dpj, and dpj is basically the stores the solution including jth element as the last element, right? So the last element will basically be the jth element in nums. So instead of doing all this function call, I can just check this nums of j, because the last element of that array will be nums of j if it divides my current number, which is basically nums.i. So if I'm able to do this, then I don't need this function at all, and I can just run it again, and it is giving us the same values, and it is accepted. So this is for the solution of this question. So there is one more thing which can be improvised. So I'll just tell you what it is. So basically here, if you see that we are storing the deep. So the every element of DP is a subset of array, right? So but instead of that, so basically this statement here where I'm updating DP, where I'm, so basically this syntax actually copies all the element from the jth DP into IRDP. So this will be linear, and I am doing this for um, all the previous indices. So this complexity is actually very bad, but we can do better. So maybe you can try to improve this solution. So I'll not code it right now, but I'll post a link to that code in the description. But the technique which we use there is, for example, so the observation here is that at any DP, there is only one unique solution. That means that if I am looking at a DP for this index, the previous solution which I used was 1 to 4, and the solution at 4 which I used was 2, 1. So what I do is I store the previous index uh, for every element, and and in the answer DP, I am with the, along with, instead of storing the complete subset, I will just store the size which is possible at this index, the maximum size which is possible at that index, and I will also store what is the previous element from which this size was obtained. So I can call it a parent pointer or previous pointer or whatever. And while after I'm done with the DP, I will just find any element where the value is maximum, and I can build that answer from the parent pointers. So I will just link that code in description. You can look at it. But because this is accepted, so we will not try to over engineer it right now. So hope it was clear. So thank you for watching.